Greetings, Tecmo Super Bowl fans. This is Trojan from GBLAN with another online Tecmo Super Bowl tournament game. I am joined in the booth once again by Matthew O'Toole, co-organizer and founder of the Kumite Tecmo Super Bowl tournament in Detroit, Michigan. How are you doing today, Matthew?
Great, Troy. Thanks for having me. Hello, Tecmo.
Hello, Tecmo, indeed. Today we are proud to bring to you a matchup between Suicideking81 as the New Orleans Saints and Madtown Split Stars as the Cleveland Browns. Suicide King is the higher seed in this, so he's hosting, and he called this matchup. And so Madtown selected the team that he wanted, which was the Cleveland Browns. So we're going to get right into it here. And Suicide King is a player that you recently played in, I believe he was in your group, was he not?
Yeah, that's right. We played 2 games in group play. We played I believe it was Cardinals against, I can't remember. It might have been Falcons. And then we played, Houston against Buffalo.
And that is a memorable game. Definitely check out that video if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet. And Ruben Mays picking up what looks to be like an accidental onside kick. For those of you that don't know, player 2 has a much more difficult chance of recovering an onside kick there. So online leg kicking in a little bit there. Madtown with the early mistake, and now Suicide King with the ball deep in Browns territory.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup. I always kind of considered New Orleans to be the better team. But clearly with a guy like QB Browns, and throwing it up to someone with high receptions like Slaughter, you don't have the good INT on the Saints to counter that. So, it's actually a pretty good matchup, but one that I really haven't played a lot.
And I'm not sure here what their delay is. We're actually watching this in real time from these guys. And if you're wondering why the format is just slightly different today versus some of the other videos where we have the helmets on the left side and the video on the right, the replay file did not cooperate with Gerald, who is that's Suicide King's first name. So he sent me the raw video footage that he took as a backup, and he also runs a tournament down in Louisiana called the Bayou Bowl. Or Swamp Bowl, I can't remember which one it's called, but but he runs that, and he uses streaming to accomplish that. He also streams a lot of online games. So we have a pro set formation here. Frank Middlefield on defense for Madtown, and Dalton Hilliard bounces it out to the end zone. First play from scrimmage, touchdown Saints.
Yeah, I'm guessing this game must be being broadcast by the NFL, as there's always a painfully long commercial break after every kickoff.
Let's hope they start to do something about that.
I've heard that they're going to go with, I thought I heard less frequent breaks, but they're going to be longer. I thought I heard something like that. It's just a rumor at this point.
Well, you're either going to be seeing advertisements for insurance, cars, or beer. And now we have first down for Madtown Split Stars, out past the 10-yard line to the 11. Looks like pass 3 coming in here. 2 receivers open, now 3. Moves away from the line of scrimmage here, which makes it a little bit more difficult to know where the defender is. But gets the JJ to Slaughter, and now we'll see if there's a tapping opportunity here. And looks like Suicide King has a tapping advantage in that one, and first down Madtown. And you kind of mentioned it before, the reception power of Webster Slaughter there, going to work early.
Yeah, covered or not, they can be hard to stop. It's not a strategy I particularly like, even though you know that it's there. I like to try and move the ball and then use those throws when there's nothing else available. But when it's on, it's pretty much unstoppable.
Back-to-back runs to the top there. Metcalf getting the first down there on second down, and we see another imbalanced formation here, and now we see Metcalf back-to-back down to the 2. So second and goal from the 2, and we'll see if Gerald starts to key on this. Now we see pass 4 incoming. Expect a linebacker to be chosen here, and that's what happens, and he throws it down to Slaughter, who's open. Tough to defend that play on the goal line if you don't call it.
Yeah, that play, it's almost like run 3 if you don't call it. It's very hard to stop.
So just like that, Madtown answers with a drive of his own, quick score, and the game is tied up 7-7. And I think we're about to see some full field Tecmo here after a very conservative kick attempt there. So Hayward going to work here and looks to be moving pretty fast. Gets stopped at the 20-yard line. Drones clean him up. And usually against this team, you tend to see a lot of popcorn with Hayward out there.
Yeah, I didn't see where he had Hayward. Is that him at tight end?
We'll have to take a look here. See, we get Hilliard out there. I know Mays must be on the field because he was on that return. We'll see as he cycles through here. Second down and 12 coming up here. Single back formation. Sticking with Minifield there. Run 3 is the call. 3rd and 14 coming up. So Madtown doing a good job there with Minifield on the edge, stopping that run.
Yeah, this is a technique used by sort of, I don't want to say perfected, but definitely mostly used by the player Nos. Likes to, especially when he can move his defenders around at league play, put a good defender at DB2, and he's quite effective at stopping run 3 that way. So that's something that not a lot of people employ, but it looks like Madtown is trying to take advantage of it.
And going for 4th down is Suicide King on his own end and unable to convert there. So Madtown takes over in Saints territory. Now we see a run 1 with the offset eye, and Suicide King is able to minimize that 1-yard gain, winning the tap advantage.
That was an interesting decision on 4th down. Not necessarily to go for it, but to scramble there. It looked like there wasn't much chance of making the first down a scramble on that play.
Madtown keeping the ball on the ground with QB Browns, who has 25 MS and looks to be moving pretty well here. Multiple receivers open. Keeps it on the ground. Does not get the first, though. And now it's decision time for Madtown. Having the opportunity to go up 2 scores, but it's hard to give up the opportunity to not get 1 yard with QB Browns with this receiving core.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd go for it in this situation. You're getting the ball at halftime, so at the very worst, and there's the very worst. But at the very worst, you maybe are down 1 score, getting the ball at the half, and you can really lay the hammer down by getting a touchdown there.
So I don't like the thought of taking the ball out of QB Brown's hands there, especially since that run play has not given him a whole lot in the linebacking core. You can really take just about anyone on that linebacking group and stop that run.
Yeah, that's right. With the Saints, you have 3 very usable options at linebacker, and so depending on what play you call as a defender, then you can, and what formation your team comes out in, you can usually give yourself a good chance to stop any run play.
Now we get to see the alignment here. Looks like Hayward is at tight end. Hobie's in at wide receiver 2 for the moment. Perriman's in good, and he leaves Perriman in. It looks like Martin's at wide receiver 1. Single back formation for Suicide King. Run 3 is called this time. And actually a nice run there. Gets down 3rd and short here coming up for Suicide King, making the most out of a bad situation there with the called play. This time we see pass 3, and I expect 4K to just keep this, and he does. Out to the 33-yard line, 1st and 10, Gerald. And now we see the pro set again. And I think he has Fennerty in. And I'd like to see a Mason in that situation because you do kind of a formation giveaway there.
Sure. I'm not sure what their receptions are. Usually when I play the Saints, I'll put Hilliard and Mays, have runs for both of them, and I usually end up putting Fennerty out at receiver just because he's faster than not Eric Martin. Eric Martin and Fennerty are usually my 2 receivers.
Let us know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure they have identical stats, at least in average condition. Fennerty and Mays are interchangeable. We have pass 4 here. And we have wide receiver 2 streaking down the field. Just keeps it on the ground. Tries to throw underneath and gets deflected. So 2nd down coming up. Did have a open receiver. Also could have kept it on the ground himself. And nice juke there. It looked like he was going to keep it on the ground. Gets him to suck up and throws across his body. Crossfield, Eric Martin from John Forcade, touchdown Saints.
Nice pass. Still a little time for the Browns, so they got time to get one off. Whether they want to try and do a short pass and then get a field goal, or take one bomb for the touchdown. Probably just going to throw one up for the bomb here and see if they can tie it up for half.
A lot of times I like to see in the situation where someone gets a little bit closer, but he's had really no success moving the ball on the ground. Seems to be a risky proposition. And Gerald looks at, he was going to rush there and end up getting pancaked. So free shot here over the head, and that's really unfortunate with that combo. You like to see, you like to think statistically that's not going to happen too often.
I'd like to offer some advice here, but lately I've been very bad at defending end-of-half passes. Regulator got me in our game at Madison. I gave up a score at the half, and just recently online it happened to me again, giving up. So I've had a lot of trouble defending end-of-half passes. In fact, you got one on me with with Marv Cook, if I remember, in our game earlier in this tournament.
Yeah, I got a little end-of-half garbage there, and I know someone else that played me that had two in the fourth quarter against me.
Oh man, that must have been, you must have wanted to, you must have been pulling your hair out in that game.
Well, you have two broken monitors and, no, I'm just kidding. That's Tecmo. You got to defend every play. That's part of the allure. The game is never over when you have a bomb, when you have the ball. So we have offset eye here. Looks like Gerald's going with Massey here. Burner out might have been available there if he was positioning correctly, but decides to keep the ball on the ground. Gets the first down with QB Browns. Pass 4 here, sticking with Massey. On pass 4, are you more of a fan of controlling a linebacker to try to get better overall coverage?
Against that pass 4, generally, yeah, if I'm just trying to stop it from getting yards, if I need to get a turnover, obviously I'll go with if I really need a turnover, I'll probably use a DB and hope for a mistake. But, yeah, usually a linebacker, or for some teams, a lineman even, just to get one extra defender out there running around.
Gerald doing a good job of blocking the exit to that running lane, and the drone cleans up Madtown as he tries to bounce outside. Back to pass 4. Been leaning on this. It wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing him call this play. And can't decide who he wants to throw to. Ricky Jackson cleans it up. 3rd and 25.
Yeah, nice job by Suicide there, sort of roaming around the two open receivers and causing some indecision and getting the coverage sack.
Nice run here. Makes it 4th and manageable, but in this situation, still time left on the clock. If you don't get 16's a lot, you got to play some defense here. It looks like that's what he decides to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just unfortunate you didn't get some shots off, even when everyone's covered, if you throw a bomb, then, even if it's picked, it works like a punt, and you give yourself a chance for a first down or a touchdown even.
Yeah, with this team throwing it.
One thing about Steve Walsh, this fella that went to my high school, but he's a lot older than I am, but he had played in the NFL briefly and played on this Saints team. And I asked him, he attended my grandfather's funeral, and I asked him, what did you think about Steve Walsh? And he pointed at a clock. He said, Steve Walsh couldn't hit that clock on the wall if he tried. So kind of fitting that he's the lesser of the two QBs here.
Even though he's listed as a starter, and I think all of this came about in the mix of, it was Bobby Hebert, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Mm-hmm. He had some sort of contract dispute. Steve Walsh, I believe he was drafted by the Cowboys in the supplemental draft.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'm no draft expert, that's for sure. All I know is that in the great 1983 draft, the Lions selected James Jones on the Tecmo Seahawks. And it's terrible when you go back and see that they could have drafted either, I believe, Jim Kelly, no, maybe not Jim Kelly, but Dan Marino, or they had a couple of very good options at quarterback that they could have drafted in that draft, and instead they took James Jones, who was actually a fullback.
Well, I think that's probably a good answer as to why the Detroit Lions have had difficulty getting over the hump. I think 91 was the best year that they've ever had as far as in the Super Bowl era.
Yeah, and the one thing that I say that makes me not so angry about that is, they probably wouldn't have been in the position to draft Barry Sanders years later had they gotten a great quarterback and been a better team. So, it all sort of works out, I guess.
Coincidentally, Green Bay Packers also could have had Barry Sanders instead electing to go with Tony Mandrich, the incredible bust.
The incredible bulk, yeah. Uh-oh. There's an incredible bust.
Indeed, Toy Cook picks up Madtown's fumble here, and got to be very frustrating for him there, having a chance to potentially tie the game with that possession, and now he's going to have to deal with Gerald's running attack, which is very good. And now he's down to the 8-yard line, 1st and goal for Gerald here. Forcade in good.
Yeah, a poorly timed fumble has crushed many a Tecmo dream, and right there, down 7, you can't afford to be turning the ball over, and Gerald's just got to...
I'd see Hobie Brenner sighting, and I think that's probably the right decision there on the outside. Taking his time in the change screen, and it looks like Hobie Brenner gets the call. Put me in, coach. I'm ready. Deadly pass 4 coming in here. I believe Eric Martin's at wide receiver 1. It's call play.
Oh.
Very dangerous underneath to Hilliard, who was covered. Incomplete, dodges the bullet, no interception. Back to back, tries to go up. Can't get that time, JJ to Martin. Runs out of room, 3rd down and 8 coming. You got to be smart here so you can get your 3 to get that 2-possession lead here in the 4th.
Yeah, I'd probably just call something like a run 1 and be safe about it and make sure to get that field goal. Something where you can get out of bounds on a called play. That's fine there if you throw it to a guy and you know it's going to be out of the end zone. Because you're certainly not getting JJ'd by any of the Browns.
Field goal is blocked. So some life here for...
Maybe.
He's got to stop the kicker here. Forcade has a chance. Dancing around, stumbles on his own blocker, and now 2:39 remaining. Madtown with an opportunity to put this game into a tie position.
Well, I wasn't expecting that. Brown's LB1 not known as one who really busts in there. And how close Suicide was, he thought maybe he could have just double tapped, but with the slow Browns linebacker, I probably would have lined it up as well. So, life for Madtown.
And again, going with this unbalanced look here, sticking with the running game, and really hasn't had much success here. I think you got to start leaning on your studs. You got to go with QB Browns and Slaughter here. I would even say maybe putting Hilliard in. I'm sorry, not Hilliard, my apologies. Metcalf in at receiver to get the field stretched a little bit. Seems to be more appropriate at this stage of the game.
Yeah, I would definitely throw Metcalf in there somewhere where he's going deep.
Nice run there.
Whether it's at tight end, on your standard run and shoot pass to the RB2 that goes deep, but he doesn't have that one in here.
Nice pass play to Mack, who popcorns the defender.
Very nice.
Out past the 50, a minute 20 remaining here. He's got to get in the end zone in the next 3 or 4 plays here.
He's got a little bit more time. He can try some runs, but that's only if you really can, get the man defender flattened. Otherwise, he's got to throw it up some.
Nice run there to get the first down.
Scramble.
I guess he's hoping for just a misstep here where he is able to break it out. Nice run by Metcalf. He got maybe one shot in the end zone, 2 shots at most.
Throw now. Oh, okay, well.
So this is going to be the last play of regulation, and we'll see what he goes with here.
With this book, I'd probably go for something. Well, you could run at this distance. You could even run. So we'll see what he goes with.
Pass 1 is the call. He had him open underneath, and he ran away. He had the touchdown. Pending stats not kicking in, he had a touchdown to running back 1. He had the right guy. He couldn't do it.
Yeah, he had RB1, and then he had he had Browns down at the below, so he had the chance to either get the pass off, or if he could bait the defender into going after the quarterback, or if not, possibly scramble with QB Browns. But just like earlier on, where he just never got the pass off, he had trouble pulling the trigger.
Well, I'd say Madtown is a player that, with losing this game will be eliminated. But I started playing, maybe 2 months ago at best, and the guy has really come around and shown that he can. He's really improved his game. Coming in and playing a close one against a hardened veteran in Suicide King there. So, I look forward to seeing his development in future tournaments and in online leagues, and just as the year progresses, he's a guy that's very plugged into what we're doing, and it was nice to have him in this tournament. And Gerald will be moving on. So, hey, Matt, I'd like to thank you for joining me again here in the booth. I hope it was fun. I certainly had a good time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Troy. That was a very entertaining game, and just like to echo what you said, nice played game by Gerald and Madtown. Definitely a lot of playing very solid, so some things he could clean up, but as he practices more and plays more, he will definitely get those things down. So thanks for having me today.
It was awesome having you. Thanks everyone for watching this video. If you liked the game, hit that thumbs up button, hit that thumbs down button if you didn't like it. If you want to see what's happening in our community with the Tecmo tournament and you want to see more of the games, hit subscribe. You'll get alerted when we have new uploads as we progress through this tournament. We'll have a link to the tournament bracket in the description of this video. And if you have any thoughts about the game specifically, what would you have done at the end there? Which play would you have called? That kind of thing. Leave me a comment down below. It helps us out a lot. We'll catch you next time on GBLAN Online Tecmo. See you next time.